My name is Alex Tragert, and I am the new music director for the 5 o'clock Saturday night service. I grew up in Frederick County, and I have two loving parents and a sister. And since a young age, I sort of was obsessed with music. And of course, I mean, as a young boy, you have so much energy. I was out doing sports all the time, but I think my parents noticed early on that sounds, even sounds in my head, would sort of just come out. You know, I was singing all the time. If I heard the TV going or I heard the radio going, they would see me, I mean, at the age of 4 and 5, kind of repeating what I was hearing, maybe not well all the time, but repeating it. And I think they knew then that I was sort of a musician at heart. So they put me in piano lessons, and from there it just kind of took off. I fell in love with sound. I spent my entire young adult life and childhood sort of playing around with sound and seeing what I could come up with and what musicians I could emulate and how to combine styles of different musicians, classical and otherwise. I was classically trained on the piano from the age of 7, and I slowly, I mean, if there was an instrument around, I would pick it up and learn how to play it, just to see what new sounds I could find, what new combinations I could find. So naturally, I ended up in college at UMBC for music, composition actually, because I love writing music, and also I love theory. I love the theory behind what music is, and that's a huge portion of composition. So, and it kind of goes hand in hand, I think, with what I do here, which is I mostly play contemporary music, but I also play a lot of hymns and other such things that can be broken down into chords and voice, and I'm just here sort of to lead the congregation in song.
Okay.
I was with Living Grace Lutheran Church up in Frederick for 3.5 years, and prior to that I hadn't played any music in church. I played lots of church music, you know, Bach. I mean, all of his works were devoted to two things: God and his students, whom he hoped to lead to God. So ultimately, his work was all about God. And I was fascinated with Baroque music for a long time. Renaissance music is almost entirely about God. But I hadn't actually played in a church before until I had a teacher at the community college I was going to prior to UMBC named Lynn Stanninger, and she sort of took me under her wing. She saw that I was fascinated with music, and that she says that she saw that I had potential, and she said, "Hey, why don't you come work for me?" And I said, "Okay." I mean, there was no hesitation. I just thought, this could be a really good experience. And I had no idea how great of an experience. I mean, I have so much gratitude for Pastor Dave Albertson from Living Grace, and for Lynn and that entire congregation who almost facilitated my learning of this type of music and this type of leading of the worship. At risk of coming off as judgmental, there was in my head, I mean, Living Grace is out of an auditorium in high school. So coming here, I saw this beautiful building, and I thought to myself, this could go one of two ways. This could just be a building, and this could be all about the community, or this could be a community that's all about the building. And I came in here, and I mean, I was so nervous for the interview. And everybody was so unbelievably friendly and accepting. I just kind of knew that it was the former. It's a community that just happens to be in a beautiful building. This place is full of life in all forms. Everybody that I've met is, certainly everybody that I've met is extremely accepting and extremely interesting in a good way. As a musician, as a composer, as a teacher, and as a performer, in most other settings when you're performing, it's about the performance and about the music. And this setting is so different. It's it's about the people singing the music. I'm just sort of a medium, sort of a facilitator, so that they can be a part of that and add that to a part of the way they worship. And so it's almost hard in a way to separate that, as I have those roots as a performer. And I hope that the people here, just like at Living Grace, can help me to do that, to keep that separate and to remain humble.